Masechta Shavous, Daf Yud Ches Amud Aleph. We're starting from 8 lines from the top. Amar Rava. Rava had said, I'm going to bring you a raya that is a chiyuv chatas by a person who lives with a nida. Let's say he lived with a person, with a woman who is tahir. Yud Ches Amud Aleph. The 8th line from the top. He lived with a woman who was tahir, and in the middle she says she's nida. So we said, first there's 2 isurim here. There's one, l'chatchila, if it's samach levesta, leveset, a person is not allowed to live with the isha samach leveset, and if he made a cheshbon, he'll be able to finish before the blood starts coming down. So he is a shogeg. He made his cheshbon, and then when he's pulling out, he's not allowed to pull out right away. But the kishur is hard. Okay, it's not loud. And we're going to bring 2 mishnahs. And he comes out, he's not allowed to come out. He has to wait till the Eva dies and then he can come out. So we're going to bring a mishnah for each one. Amar Rabba, Rabba said, Utravayu Taninu. These 2 didn't, we learned in the mishnah. Knisa Tanina, we learned about a Isha, which is Samach Levesta, that a man is not allowed to live with that woman. He's Chayva Chatas, if he did, making that cheshbon that he says I'll be able to live with her before the nida comes. Prisha Tanina, about coming out and leaving the woman while she's a nida, he's not allowed to, he has to leave only when the Eva is dead. Where do we see that? Prisha Tanina, we had learned, we learned in our Mishnah, if he was living with a woman who was tired. And she said to him, I became Tommy. And he left her immediately while he was hard. And Knisa Tanina, where do we learn about that one is not allowed to live with a woman who's a Nida? Nimsa. It says over there, if he found them, if they're living with her, Al Shaloi, on his cloth that he wiped his Ava with, Tmeim, they're both Tommy, the Isha, Tmeim, and Carbon. And the both chayim are carbon chatas. My love, is there not? We're talking about samach levesta. We're talking about a case where it's samuch to the veset, and that's why he's going to be chayim chatas. V'aknisa, we're talking about that second mishnah that we brought down, that he wiped the zeva, because when he wiped the zeva, he was able to see that she was a nida. So they were both.
But it was his fault.
She was a nida.
When did she come in? When he was in?
No, this is the second case. This case he brings down. Knisa Tanina, where the Mishnah starts off at Nimtza al Shaloi. That's how the Mishnah talks about it. It's not talking about that she said in the middle of Bia. Afterwards he saw on the bad that he wiped himself from his Ava that it was bloody. So he knew it's from her. He didn't have any wounds, so he and her.
She should have told him.
Right, sure. And the chayv of carbon chatas, and we're obviously talking about samach levesta, where he was not allowed to live with her. But knisa, we're talking about the isa of knisa. This second brayso that you said is al knisa, and you're saying it's talking about samach levesta. It was samach to the time that you would see the blood. So what's the raya? I could say that mishnah that you brought down, where Nimtza he found the man he found on the cloth blood. You could say it wasn't samach levesta. V'aprishan, it's talking about that the Issa was because he went out right away, and he should have waited till the Eva died. What's your raya that it's what's your raya that it was a knisa, that the Issa was Samach Levesta, and the Issa was living with her? Maybe the Issa was afterwards. Prisha. So are you going to say, what do I need a second Mishnah for Prisha? We just had a different Mishnah about Prisha. So he says, no, Yitzchak Lashmina, he has to teach you. If he would have found, she would have found on her cloth, and time elapsed. So then Tmeim Misafik, there would be only time Misafik, because it could be it wasn't. This blood is new blood. It just happened now. It has nothing to do with that blood. It has nothing to do with them living together. It could have been. But I did the Bayim Mishnah.
In other words, it just happened. She became a nida now.
Now, how do you know there was a time when she checked herself? Was after the story. But I did the Mishnah, and since the Mishnah spoke about already a case of her, Leinya Nimtza al Shaloi, that it was found on her cloth. Tanenam Nimtza al Shaloi. So we learned the Chiddush Nimtza al Shaloi. If it's Nimtza al Shaloi, it doesn't matter if time passed. If he found it, if he wiped the Zeva and he sees his blood, we're going to say that Tameh and Chai V'chatas, because it's for sure. The only way, the only way that it happened is because she was a Nida. So it's a Prisha. He's going to be Chai V'Prisha. But the Chiddush and the Prisha, in this second mission is, if he found it on his cloth, then they'll both be Tameh, even though it was a time elapsed from the time that they lived together. But if it was on hers, it wouldn't be. The other Mishnah is talking about it was found on her cloth.
It's on her cloth. We don't know when.
We don't know when,
But
right?
it is, you know.
You know
You
for
know-
sure.
you know when.
Very good. Sagt you want to have a later Avinu Yavada. So the Gemara slugs up that pirish. Me matzis lookma lahi. Could you say that case of Nimtza, that Mishnah is talking about, that b'shalei samach lavesta wasn't close to the Vaset? V'aprisha, and it's talking about that the Isa was that he went out without waiting for the Eva to die. V'hanimtzin katani. It says b'feidish that he found it, that he never knew b'chatchila that she was bleeding. V'nimtz lebasa hachim mashma. V'nimtz is mashma. After he found it on the bad, he found it on the tissue. Prior to that, he didn't know.
So how did it get there?
You're right, but he can't be mechayv makam on prisha when he didn't know. He only found out about that she was bleeding after he wiped himself. The prisha, if the
So that's
chivachat.
Prisha, no?
So he's asking, how could he be chayv achatas? You're saying that Mishnah is telling to, is coming to teach you on prisha. He's going to be chayv achatas if he wipes himself with the bad. If he wiped himself with the bad, and the chiyuv is he didn't wait till the Eva should die. How should he have known that he has to wait for the Eva to die? He didn't know she was bleeding.
Well,
The
every
prisha.
time you have to wait, no?
No. The prisha, if the chiva chatus that's mentioned in the Mishnah is
You're not
dafke.
supposed to really leave out.
May
It's part of
you-
that, it's part of the Hanoah.
May karab kiparish levi. May karab have you later yediyah. He says when he separated, that you have to say that there was a yediyah that she was tummy, because if not, if it only happened after that he figured out, oh, she was a nida when I was with her, then he's only anus. He's not a shoygek. Anus is potter. So you have to say it's talking about that it was samach levesta. It was samach levesta, and he should have been careful. And it's going aknisa. Rabba said to Avad Masna, it's
He's considered what a shoygit, not an honest.
a shoygek. That's samach levesta, and it's going on the knisa. We have to say. Rabba said to Avad Masna, the Messiah is my kamer abach. Listen and receive what Ravina's your teacher said. So Ravad Masna asked, why is he arguing with Rabba? So Ravad Masna said to Rabba, Hichiyatzis, how could I accept the Piddush that it's referring to Knisa like Rabba? Ravad Masna couldn't accept it. Why? The Tanya Allah, because in that Braisa that explains this Mishnah is talking about that it was found on the cloth of the man, the blood, and it says Zui mitzvah say shebenida shechayam Allah. This is the mitzvah say which the man is going to be chayiv chatas. V'im isa mitzvah loisa say. But if im isa, meaning if you're going to say it's going on the knisa, then it's a mitzvah loisa say. The Mishnah says that the isa that he was able on a asay. Where's the asay? On the prisha. On the prisha, it says asay, leave it there till it dies. That's what asay. But you're saying, if you're going to say like Rava, that pasuk is referring to Samach Levesta, and the Shoygig was on the Knisa, that's a lois say. He's not allowed to be with it. Amalei, so Rava said to Avad Mamasna, eat Nisa. If Taki you learned the Braisa, and that's how you learn the Braisa says the words mitzvah say, Chaser usni hachi. Say, you have to explain that Braisa is missing words, and this is how you have to be good as the Braisa. He says, Zui mitzvahs loisa seisha benidish chayam malachatas. He says the beginning of the Braisa is talking about the Feidish Knisa, Sabach Levesta, and it's a mitzvahs loisa say that he's being over by Nida, and he's chayv achatas. And then he says, Ho yimeshamashim to'edu b'yam eloishin nit meisi u'peidish meyad. Then that same Mishnah brought another case, that if he was living with this woman who was tired, and then she said she became tamei, and he immediately went out while it was hard. Chayiv is chayiv. Zuhi mitzasei shemenida. That's the case of mitzasei shemenida, that he's going to be chayv achatas. So you're right. At the beginning, you have to change. You have to add words. Yeah, it's a mitzasei. You have to wait. No. Here it's asei and a lois asei. Asei, you have to wait till it dies, and the lois asei is not allowed to come out while he's hard. So both. The Gemara will explain that later.
How's it go?
Because it is. You have to leave it there till the Eva is made.
That's the mitzvah.
And it's also, you should.
If he does come out,
if he comes out hard, it's a loisas. He was a loisas. Okay, so you have to add, and that Mishnah, when it said mitzvah was referring to the second case, but really the nimsa is going on knisa on the loisas. It was samach levesta omamar. The Tana had said perish miyad chayiv. If he separated himself immediately, he's chayiv. How should he behave himself that he should be chayv achatas?
should wait.
Oh, 1 second. How can he, if he's all aroused, how does he stop it?
No, he gets aroused.
He has to get out as fast as he could, because she's a nido. So what should he do?
He gets aroused before. He's aroused.
Yeah, but he has to break the arousement. So what does he do? He digs his nails into the ground. Yomos till the Eva dies. The Tubi, and it says that's not. Yeah.
You can think about his next wife.
Okay, short of it means, and that's the right way, and that's what's good for him. He says. Rava said, so, yeah, you must have got carpets or whatever. They live in the house with the earth, and on the other side is given with the earth. Rava said, this deed that's mashma from the Mishnah that was said through Rav. So he says, Meis Baroyes Potter. So he could see somebody who lives with a woman and his Eva is mace, is not hard, and he lives with a woman, is Potter.
How's he
Because he's with her. Even just the Atara touching the. Okay, 1 second. If you're going to think chayiv, that if it's going to enter your mind that he's chayiv even when it's Eva mace, so in fact the mother my time of Potter. So why? When the Eva is mace, is it Potter? Why? It's still the biggest nida. And if you can say, here was a mistake. She told him now she's becoming tamei, so that was the only way out. So kipirish miyad, not mainly Potter. So when he goes out right away, if he's honest, he should be Potter honest.
No, he was next to her. With him.
If he was living with, if he says he has to be Potter, because he said that he has to wait till it's mace to go out, and if he waits till it's mace, he's Potter. Now, if you're gonna say that's only because he was an anus, that's why he was Potter, right? That's why you wait till it's mace. What's the difference? If he's honest, let him go out right away, and he's Potter. Says the
Why
Yonah.
did he in the first place?
Amalei Abai, because she was tired. Amalei Abai said to Rabbi Leila Meimelach, really in truth I will say to you, Hamashamish Meiz Baroiz Chayiv. Somebody who lives with a woman, even though his Eva is dead, but he's Chayiv. By Royes, he's going to be Chayiv by Royes. Because it's considered as Maisa Tashmish. And why is he Potter? In our case, says because he's honest.
Was he with that Royals?
1 second. No, that's by a case of Aroyes. You want to say he's telling you if he lives with her, even with Eva Shemeis, he's also Aroyes. He's Chayiv. Over here, why was he Potter? You said because he's honest. Honest because when he started with his regular wife, and she was tired, and then she told him she's tummy. This question that you said, if he's honest and he goes out right away, why is he chayiv? He's honest, and you want to show how you like liftish ba'anos more etes upirish ba'anom meruba. The etzem zach, when there's a isur. And you're living with an Isser, you have to diminish the Ano. And the way to diminish the Ano is you wait till the Eva's mace. Because if he comes out, then it's Ano Meruba. If he comes out while he's hard, then it's anomaruba. Amalei Rabba Bachon Labaya. Rabba Bachon said to Abaya Im Kain. If you say that there's a difference between Eva Mace and when the Eva is kushi and the Eva is hard, Matzina Harucho Ksura Benida, you find the Indian of the long, the going the long way and going the short way. The long way, if it's kushi, that's the short way out, and then he's then he's chayiv. If it's the long way, it means the Eva he has to wait till the Eva is mace, and then he goes out. So Vanam, the Migdash Tanan, and we learned this chilik of between Aruch Tzara. We learned it by a tumah that happened in the Hazara. When somebody became tummy in the Hazara, immediately he has to go through the shortcut and not to be chayiv. If he takes the long cut, it'll be chayiv. So it's just like you have the concept of Aruch Tzara by somebody became tummy in the Hazara. You're right, but he says, but the concept is there. Okay. So you should say the same thing of Yitzib Arach, the same, you're being medamit. You're saying the Mishnah is mashvet, tumashira ba'azara, le tumashira ba'amtzat tashmish. The Gemara is medamit, the tumah that happened in Azara, the tumah that happened in the middle of Tashmish. So why don't you mention the chilik between Aruch and Tzara? And the Gemara is going to answer like you. Elo mishum deloy dami, only because it's not exactly similar. Aruch dehacha, Tzara dehasa. The Arucha of over here is he's potter. He has to wait till the Eva Shemeis when he comes out of the woman. That Arucha is similar to the Tam Bazar, to the Ktsara of it. When is he going to be Tamei? Only if he takes the shortcut. But Arucha the Hasam Ktsara the Hacha.
No, he's going to be not Tamei. He's going to be.
He's not going to be Chayva Carbon.
Yeah.
And Baruch the Hasam and the Arucha, if he takes the long cut by the Tamei Ba'azara, he's going to be Chayiv. Is like Tzara the Hacha, that he comes out while he's hard, fast, then he's Chayiv. And the problem is, people will get miscabulated. It's confusing, yeah. So in order not to confuse the people, they didn't make that chilik openly to be medamit to the Mikdash. Muscular, because people will make a mistake. Oh, Aruch has to be similar to Aruch did that when you're hard. That would be a mistake. That's why we don't want to do it.
That's a short way.
Okay, yeah. Muscular, is the kasha a stin in the words of Abaye. Me Abaye onusu. Did Abaye say that our Mishnah, who comes out with the Eva Shemeis, he's potter because he's honest. Alma b'shloi samach levesta coming on. Obviously, you're talking about it wasn't close to the time that she sees the blood.
Otherwise, he's not an honest.
Then he's not honest. Then he's a shayik. A shayik. But Abaye said the finish that he's chayiv for two. We learned yesterday. We learned that it's talking about a chacham, a Talmud chacham in the samach levesed. And he wasn't a Talmud Chacham when he gave to Prisha. How about Talmud Chacham? And he's Chayiv too. And over there, Alma, B'Samad Levas Taskin. And the only way you can be Chayiv too, this person could be Chayiv on this case, two Chatois, that had to be because one of the cases where it was Samach Levesta. That one of the cases that he's Chayiv Chatas had to be Samach Levesta. So how can you say this Mishnah is talking about Anos? I mean, when the Abaya, when would the Abaya say about that he's chayiv shtayim, ba'omaitma. There he was said it not in the gate to the Mishnah. He was saying of the Stama case. I can find you a case that a person will be chayiv two chatois. That was the case that he lived with the woman. He was samach levesta. Yeah, and he was a halva tamach. I'm not. That's Abaya. But that was not a case of the Mishnah. He gave Stama case. And Abaya was mentioning the Mishnah that I'm sorry, and yeah, this Abaya that says he was an Anus is talking about the Mishnah, and there was only one, and he's going to be. It wasn't Samach Levasta, and he's going to be Potter. Okay. Vaymenei Rabbi Yonasan ben Yosi ben Lekunya. Rabbi Yonasan ben Yosi ben Lekunya asked. Rab Shimon ben Yosi ben Lekunya. Obviously, he asked his brother. So Rabbi Yonasan asked his brother Rab Shimon Ashayla. Azhar lebeil nida. Where do we see Azhara for that you're not allowed to live with a nida? Shakal kala pasig vei. he took a clod of earth and he threw it on him. We're talking about a guy who misses his wife. You know the story. He threw a stone and he missed her. Anyway, he took the clod of earth, right, and he threw it on his brother. He's asking, what's up? What's up? Shiloh does. Well, you should be neither's to us. It says in the finish of pasuk, you're not allowed to come close to neither. Who's Tommy? Rather, my Shiloh was somebody who lives with a title. I'm in it Macy, and in the middle of the bia, she says, I'm Tommy. The lawyer need that he's not allowed to pull out right away while he's hot. So where do we see that out? From where do we learn that out? He says there's a pasuk. It says if a man will live if a man will live with this nida, usi nida salov. Usi nida salov means that the nida should be on him. The nida should remain on him till his Ava dies. That's how he learns.
In other words, when he's still there,
he has to remain till the Ava dies. So we found them. It's say Lagabi Prisha that he's mechayiv to continue to stay in there. Loisasa that he's not allowed to pull out right away. From where do we know? Because that's the only way you'll be chayv achatas. For say you're not going to be chayv achatas. You have to say tzasei and loisasei. Amar Papa said it says in the pasuk al isha benidus tumasa loisikra. What's loisikav mean? So he says loisikav nami loisifrishu means that he shouldn't separate. Where do we see that? They told Yeshaya, the scoffers, those that were making fun of Yeshaya, stand alone, stand by yourself. Don't come close to us. They were saying, if you come close to us, you're going to become Tameh from us. Anyway, but what do we see? That it means stay always separate. Separate yourself.
You can't be too close.
Right. Talking about I'm going to separate as many Yisomim to Muslim that he sold from the Tumah. Rabbi Yosha said, here's the pasuk that the men should separate from their wives during the time of Vesed. How much time is the Vesed? There's 24 hours a day, so it could be she saw by day, she saw by night. If the last time she saw the Eina was by day, so the next time on that day, that's when someone said the same Zman, which was in the daytime, that's when he should separate it. If she saw by night, it should be by night. Any man that doesn't separate from his wife, even if he'll have tzaddikim, children like the Bnei Arain, he's referring to, Mason, they're going to die before their time. It says separate, the Bnei Yisrael should separate from their tumah while the woman is flowing her blood. And then it says, so you see, somebody who doesn't separate while the woman is a nida, he might even have kahanim like children, tzaddikim like the Bnei Yarim, but they'll die. Right after it says.
So maybe you should punish right away.
What do you mean punish right away?
Stay in, because then you're going to...
Whoever does fulfill that, and he separates from his wife, somebody he keeps to the vestis, will have male children. The chsiv, like it says, the havdol bein tamei atar, to separate between there. It's talking about achila, the behemoth tmeim and tehirim. He'll separate between the tamei and the tehirim, and then right next to it says isha kisazir v'yol. So you see that he'll have a zacha right next to it if he keeps to separating.
If somebody has a lot of sons, then it's right that he did the right thing. If he has
Yeah,
girls,
there's a lot of simanim for
didn't
sons.
have the right thing.
There's a lot of simanim. And Gemara Brachas also brought. Abba Shimon maybe Yama here he'll say, have your loy ban lahida. He'll have people, children that will even paskin, will be paskin. Rabbanim chsivu lahavdil. He'll be mavdil b'kedsh ben achil ben itamei hatami ben hatar ulahoydes. It says as bnei Yisrael. He'll have children that will give they'll paskin dinner. Whoever makes Havdalah on wine on Motzei Shabbos, having Leibanim Schanim. He's going to have male children, sons.
What's the other choices that you have?
Before we said it,
Not grapes?
keeping for some of us. Oh, beer, the Chamar Amadina, whatever it is. Yeah, Abdi, yeah.
Oranges.
Having Leibanim Schanim. The Chsiv lahavdom.
People that
Wine, sure. The Chsiv lahavdom in Akedesh Ubein Achel. Is wine, yeah. So he says the Chsiv, like it said, lahavdom in Akedesh Ubein Achel. Uksiv hasam lahavdom in Atom Ubein Achel. A mashke.
You have twins.
Samach lei isha kisazia. They don't have. It says isha kisazia v'yolda zacha. Mashke can sein mit haben beide. Twins. A zwilling, a boy with a girl. Okay, so aber good to mashke. Okay. Sag ich mal. Ja, wie Shubin Levi Amma. Shubin Levi says, Bonim Reuim Lahira. They'll have children that are fit to paskin dinim. They'll see. He'll separate himself. Some chlebased. Ulahida, said it says. Ulahida says b'nai Yisrael. He'll pass him with the b'nai Yisrael. Bin yamin by yafis somebody avilaza. Kol ha-mekadosh atzmei. Somebody who behaves in that sneezdik way. B'shas tashmish, during tashmish. Having you like bottom
in a holy way, no?
No, tashmish means the action. Kol ha-mekadosh atzmei. Somebody who behaves in that sneezdik way. Yeah, no, it means sneeze. Yeah, every time you learn that, even in Shechadar, it refers to sneeze. So b'shas tashmis, having like banim scharim, he'll have banim scharim. Should never like it says. Okay, should never like it says in the pasuk. Iskadishtem ve'yisim gdeishim. You should sanctify yourselves and be holy. Meaning sneeze. Like Samach Lein says in the pasuk, Isha ki says here v'yolda zacha. We learned in the Mishnah Rabbi Lezer says hashadas v'nanam imenu. So if you remember, which helem is the helem that causes one to be chayva carbon? Only the helem atuma, not the helem amigdash. Rabbi Lezer and Rabbi Akiva both held the same thing. The only helem, you remember Yediyah, he has to have a Yediyah, that he was Tameh. And what did he forget? He went into the Mikdash, but not he didn't forget the Mikdash, he forgot he was Tameh. And then at the end there was another Yediyah that he was Tameh again. And he entered the Mikdash. But not that he forgot it was the Beis Hamikdash or it was Kachem. So Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Lezer both said the same thing, but Rabbi Lezer learned it out from this that it says Hasharetz min Elam Imenu. Hasharetz means only on Helam Sheretz he's going to be chayv, not on Helam Mikdash. And Rabbi Akiva says from the pasuk min Elam Imenu who tamei, only the halama was on that him being tamei, but not on the Mikdash. Okay, was the chilik? They're both coming out to the same halacha. Chizki said, no, there's a Shavous ben unavela kibenayim. There's a chilik by Sheretz Novela. Rabbi Lezer Sava. The only way that the Yediyah and then the Helam and the Yediyah, one will be chayva carbon, one will be chayva carbon, or they sear. It depends which Yediyah it was. But the carbon will forgive, and it's an avera that you have to bring a carbon. Is be'inim ba'ad the yada ibn Sheretz itame ibn Novela itame. According to Rabbi Lezer, the pasuk tells you have to know what was the tumah. From what did he become tummy? From the sheretz or from the dead behemoth? Rabbi Akiva Sabbath. Rabbi Akiva holds living on the yada. You don't know.
So becomes something in the veil, or Tafka Kohen becomes.
He's saying any somebody who goes into the mikdash while he's tummy. Usually it's he has to know what was the tumah from? From a sheretz, from a dead behemoth, a nevela. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Akiva Sabbath. Living on the yada. You don't need that he should know with what he became tamei. The king of the yada, since that he knows he became tamei, that's enough. You don't have to know how he became tamei. So did Ula say, Sheretz and Nevela ikvenayim. Sheretz and Nevela is going to be the difference between Rabbi Lezer and Rabbi Akiva. That Rabbi Lezer says you have to know from where the tumah is coming from. Rabbi Akiva says not. Sagt die Wörter, the Ula, Rabbi Lezer, Ula is the stira for Rabbi Lezer. Rabbi Lezer Mushani, he answered. What was the kasha? He says this was the kasha. I'm Rabbi Lezer. Be'ina the Yoda even Sheretz itame ibn Nevela itame. Does Rabbi Lezer hold that he has to know from where how he became tamei? Did he become tamei from the Sheretz from Nevela? Unamina alas yostira. I'm Rabbi Lezer. Rabbi Lezer had said, Manavsha. Either way, he's going to be a chayv achatas. Chaylev achal. He's chayv achatas. Noisa achal chayv. He doesn't know if he ate chaylev or noisa. But one of them, he knows it was either chaylev or noise he ate. He's chayv chatas. He doesn't have to know from what was the thing that brought him to the chatas, or the mashal. He was in Chalav Shabbos and Yom Kippur. He doesn't know which one it was. Shabbos chilul or Yom Kippurim chilul. Shabbos chilul chayav chatas. Yom Kippurim chilul chayav. He doesn't know which one it was. Was it that he was Mechal Shabbos or was it Mechal Yom Kippur? But he's chayav chatas either way.
Wasn't Yom Kippur that was on Shabbos? No,
He doesn't remember. It's a while back. He remembered he was Mechal either Yom Kippur or Shabbos. Doesn't make a difference. He brings up carbon chatas. Ishtay nida, Baal chayav achise Baal chayav. It's either his wife he lived with, or it was his wife's sister while they were nida. But they were there, and somehow it was at night. He didn't realize, and she went out, and they were both sleeping in the bed. No, I'm like Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua said back, I love. Rabbi Yeshua argues. What do you mean? You have to know. The extra word ba is extra to teach you. Rabbi Yeshua argues with Rabbi Lezer. Says you have to know exactly. But here, Rabbi Lezer, what's the maskana? Rabbi Lezer holds here. You don't have to know when it comes to a carbon chatas. And before we learned, Rabbi Lezer says by sheretz, he has to know. So it says still Rabbi Lezer. And the Gemara answered, Ula answered, Hasam by chatas. It says Asher chata behavi Amar Achmana. And the Torah says, Oy hoydei love chatas Asher chata ba behavi es kabane. So it's mashma chet kolshel any sin. He learns ba for a different drasha, not like Rabbi Yeshua. You have to know which chet. We're going to soon learn what he learns it for. But Rabbi Lezer doesn't learn ba to tell you have to know the chet. It says he has to bring a carbon for the sin, and we don't care what the sin is. Hacha, but over here, it says befeidish. So Machdi, let's look in. Ksiva, it says already. What do you have to say Nevela if you already said Chol Davar Tamei includes everything? The reason why he singled out the words even though it was included in the Chol Davar Tamei, to tell you by sheretz and Nevela, when it comes to a cup meila v'yodet, you have to know how he became Tamei. Rabbi Akiva, who says you don't have to know, the Torah singled it out. He says, I did the Baila Michta Behema B'chaya L'Kiderebi Ksiv Nami B'Sheretz. Kidetana, the way Rabbi Yishmael, like Rabbi Yishmael had learned, we'll get to it in a second. He says, Rabbi Akiva said you had to say Behema twice to teach us that the Kav Meila V'Yodet, it says, you remember before we had Gzeira Shava and Dav Zayin, to teach us that by Behema Kodesh, he's going to be Chayiv a Kav Meila V'Yodet by Behema, which is Tamei by Kodesh. That's what he was teaching us. And therefore, since he needed to write over Behemoth Meya, so he wrote already Sharetz over again. Every pasha that had to be, that was learned and said over again, even though you said extra words, even though there was only one Chiddush, the Behemoth Meya that we learned, that by Kodesh, is where by a behemoth that became Tamei by Kodesh, that you'll bring up Meila V'Yodet. There, that was the Chiddush, even by Kodesh. But the reason why he wrote already also the word Sheretz, because he had to write over behemoth to teach us the Chiddush. It says the word Ba. Ba means you have to know for what sin. My Avidlay. What is he going to do with Ba? It says, it's coming to exclude from Misasik that he's not going to be chayiv because he didn't do b'kavana. What's Misasik? He went to pick up something that was tolish from the ground, and instead he pulled something from the ground. And so that was, he was being Misasik. He was collecting the tlushim, and by mistake he pulled out something from the ground. That's called Misasik. He didn't do b'kavana. In that case, he'll be potter.